How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 42 of the ChiTown podcast. Today, this is going to be a short episode. I'd like to apologize. It's just me today. Tom has a prior commitment, unable to make today's show. He'll be back on Wednesday, and hopefully we're talking about two Cubs wins on Wednesday, but I'm not holding my breath. So, yeah, pretty much just a average Monday for me. Went to class, went to the grocery store, and then kind of just hung out. And now I'm here, recording episode 42. That's crazy. We've done 42 of these. Crazy to think about when we started back in November. So let's get into it. Some good Cubs news over the weekend. Cubs take the series against the Dodgers 2-1. They win the rubber match 8-1. Overall, just a really well played series from the Cubs. And people will blame the weather. Oh, it's the weather. It's only the ninth game. This is a good baseball team. And this is a team, if I'm the Braves, if I'm the Dodgers, if I'm any like projected National League champion, I don't want to see this team in the playoffs. And just because their offense is so good, like, you're really going to need a lot of pitching to beat this team. Just because you have guys, you have your Ian Happs, your Cody Bellingers, your Seiya Suzuki's, your Mike Talkmans. Those guys are going to work counts. I mean, Mike Talkman, it feels like every time he's in a 3-2 count, and it's only Mike Talkman. That's nothing too special. Sure, but when your pitchers are having to waste bullets on, this is no disrespect to Mike Talkman, it makes it so much easier for your Boppers, your Seiya Suzuki's, your Morels, your Swansons, and your Bellinger on the team to really take advantage. And it's something that the Cubs team was missing. Like, it felt like you were able to go right at two guys in the lineup. Like the previous 2 years, not really last year, but like the year before, you're able to pitch directly to Seiya Suzuki. You're able to pitch, or I'm not directly, around Seiya and around Nico. And the Cubs weren't able to cash in on those chances because the rest of their lineup was weak. You look at the Cubs lineup today. I don't want to go into the series prediction today, but let me make a new banner here. You look at the Cubs lineup for their game against the Padres, which starts in 2 hours. Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Cody Bellinger, Christopher Morel, Dansby Swanson, Michael Busch, Nico Horner, Mike Talkman, Miguel Amaya. Last year, the year 7, 8, 9 consistently was Tucker Barnhart, Eric Hosmer, and Trey Mancini. This year, your 7, 8, 9, your 7 and 8 is two guys that you were leading off last year, right? I mean, obviously, maybe it wasn't the best position to have them, but I mean, Nico Horner, that bat's going to pick up. Mike Talkman always gives you a consistent at bat, and he's starting to hit too now. Like, he's not just walking. Mike Talkman this year, his on base percentage is through the roof. I mean, Mike Talkman, according to Baseball Reference, this year, 11 at bats. He only has 2 hits for a 182 batting average, but an on base percentage of 500. He's getting on base 50% of the time. That's ridiculous. He's already worth 0.3 WAR. I mean, these are extremely valuable players in October. I mean, because of players like Mike Talkman, you're gonna, in a 5-game series, in a 3-game series, in a 7-game series, you're going to see teams 11th and 12th pitcher in that series just because he's working counts and he's making these pitchers pitch so many pitches to him. It's extremely valuable. We'll talk about the lineup. I mean, it's pretty much the same against the righty. Morel is playing third base. Who's the DH? Say is DHing. So I'm another thing with Morel. If Morel can just be not even average, just a little below average at third, it's going to open up so many opportunities for Craig Counsell to get Mike Talkman at bats because you can DH Hap, you can DH Saya, you can DH Bellinger. Just extremely important. And then if Casey's ready, or if Matt Shaw's ready, or Canario, if any of them come up in June and July, they can get playing time in the outfield, or they can get at bats as a DH. Morel playing third is the key to this team really unlocking its potential. If he can consistently, he doesn't even have to. It's not. I'm not asking for 160 games at third base. I'm asking if you can give me 80 to 100 at third. The Cubs are looking fantastic, just with the versatility that they can have in their lineup. And then who knows? Really, you'll see this offense is going to carry the Cubs until you get Steele and Tyone back, which I believe Tyone got shelled in his first rehab start in Double A, which I'm not going to say is concerning, but it sucks. But other guys have to step up, and we're seeing that. And we're seeing that with Shota Imanaga. And honestly, I'm not expecting him to never give up runs again. It's unrealistic. But if he can be a guy like if he can be someone who can give you 6 innings and give up 3 runs, 2 to 3 runs every outing, that's fantastic. We'll see what happens in the summer when the wind's blowing out, the weather's warmer, the ball jumps off the bat a little bit because he is a fly ball pitcher, but he looked fantastic in his first start against the Rockies, and then he looked fantastic yesterday against the Dodgers. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs. Again, no walks and 3 more strikeouts. I mean, he's pitched 10 innings now and no walks. Super important, especially at Wrigley when the wind blows out. It you, you need to limit the damage with Shota. Like if he gives up 2 solo home runs a game, that's fine. Solos aren't going to kill you. It's the ones that kill you are the ones where you have 2 outs in the inning. You walk the number 9 hitter, you give up a hit to the leadoff guy, and then the guy in the 2-hole hits a 3-run home run. That's what kills you at Wrigley Field. I think Shota Imanaga, if he can limit that, he's going to be a really important piece to this rotation. And what were the Rookie of the Year odds for him? I know people get mad when older guys win it. Like people were mad when Abreu won it when he came over. Yamamoto is the favorite at 265. Jackson Churio, or this is off FanDuel. So Yamamoto is 260, Jackson Churio 350, Imanaga plus 900. These are all plus, obviously. That's good value. Michael Busch plus 4,000 is also really good value. So PCA plus 8,000, then Ben Brown is plus 4,000, but he's not on FanDuel. That would be on DraftKings. It's I mean, that's not bad value for Shota. Once again, not gambling advice for sure, but he's going to be an important part of this rotation, and he's already a fan favorite. I mean, his walkout song is Chelsea Dagger, which is a Blackhawks Soul song, and apparently he wants to personally buy each guy who had their shirt off that spelled out Shota, an obvious shirt with their own custom letter. So that's, I mean, he's already a fan favorite. If I had to pick a guy like who's becoming my new favorite Cub, it's him. because not only his on the field product has been fantastic, his off the field product is awesome. So uh, just keep pitching well, and everybody's going to love you. Now let's talk about the bullpen a little bit here because I put bullpen concerns in the notes. I'm not actually concerned with the bullpen. It's just I feel like we're missing the guy that can come in the fifth or sixth inning since Assad is in the rotation right now. Right now, that's Ben Brown. But I was hoping one of Almonte or Quas would be able to kind of not necessarily. They're probably in the mop up role right now. We'll see if Daniel Palencia gets um, gets an opportunity to thrive in that role. But both of those guys, obviously, it's early, uh, but I want more from these guys. I mean, they're both riding the struggle bus. I mean, the game, Jordan Wicks kind of got screwed in the second game because Council played the matchup perfectly. Quas versus Teoscar Hernandez, a guy with nasty stuff. Teoscar swings and misses a lot. Perfect matchup in that situation, and then Quas throws the wild pitch and then gives up the single. 3 runs ended up scoring that inning. It is what it is. You're not going to sweep the Dodgers, right? But earlier in the week, last week, Thomas and I said we're happy with uh 1. We ended up getting 2. That's fantastic. And the offense rolls. Just Quas, Almonte need to be better, especially you're losing a high leverage arm. Julian Merriweather is injured, and it was noticeable. I think he pitched on Saturday just because um, his velo was way down. I think it was 94, 95 when he normally sits around 99. But hey, you're gonna have to work through it. You have Ben Brown, you have Neris, you have Alzolay. There are guys down there. You have Mark Leiter Jr. There are guys down there who can get the job done. We got to talk about the offense here because I know we talked about it a little bit with Mike Talkman, but I mean, if someone's hitting poorly, everyone else is fantastic. I mean, the Cubs scored 8 runs against the Dodgers yesterday. Suzuki didn't get any hits. Swanson 0 hits. They scored 9 runs on Friday. Bellinger was hitless and Morel was hitless. I mean, Morel becoming a big bat is massive for this team. And if Swanson's really hot right now and he didn't get a hit yesterday, but same with Michael Busch. If Michael Busch can become a think kind of Anthony Rizzo, not to that level, but I'm going to talk about it in a second. Uh, there are similarities there, but if he can become a run producer, a guy that gets on base, I, everybody's like, "Oh, the Dodgers top 5 is ridiculous." It 100% is. But then you look at their bottom 3 and you're like, "Well, Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, and Gavin Lux don't really scare me." The Dodgers are very top heavy, and obviously you have 3 MVPs back to back to back. So no shit, they're top heavy. But you look at the Cubs and it's like, well, Ian Happ's a good hitter. Suzuki's a good hitter. Bellinger, Morel can take you deep. Swanson's a good hitter. Bush is a good hitter. Horner's a good hitter. Talkman's going to work an at bat. And then whoever's catching, Amaya's been pretty solid. Gomes is off to a slow start, but we've seen what he can do. It is, there's not an easy spot in the Cubs lineup. Like, if you're looking at it, you're like, You're trying to figure out, all right, who can I not let beat me? And there's just no guy in the Cubs lineup, maybe a Talkman, maybe a Maya, where you're like, all right, if I lose to them, I'm unhappy. You look at the Dodgers, you got 3 or 4, really. If Miguel Rojas, Gavin Lux, Chris Taylor, or Kike Hernandez are the reason that you lose to the Dodgers, you're probably pretty unhappy because if Betts, Otani, Freeman, and Will Smith, and even Teoscar Hernandez, if they beat you, you're like, whatever. It was expected. It is what it is. But if you're losing a game because Chris Taylor doubles in 3 runs, you're probably not very happy. And the Cubs did a really good job of keeping Mookie Betts in check this series. No one's going to keep Otani in check. That's just who he is. And same with Freeman. I mean, the game they lost was the top of the order, worked really good at bats, and then the wild pitch, obviously, and then Teoscar Hernandez drove in 2 runs. But you got to remember, the first inning, they had the bases loaded, no one out, and didn't score the Cubs. The second inning, they had the bases loaded, 2 outs, and didn't score. That game is completely changed if you scratch off 2 runs in the first, and then if you get a big hit in the second inning. It is not unrealistic to say the Cubs could 100% have swept the Dodgers if they just got the big hit. And then yesterday, Michael Busch delivered the big hit. I mean, you were like, they load the bases, but there's 2 outs. And then you're like, all right, let's see what Michael Busch can do. He kind of got unlucky with the strike call, I think, in that at bat too. And you're like, well, that sucks. But then he hammered a 2-2 pitch. I think it was up and away heater into the left center field gap, brought 3 runs home. And you just felt really good about it, about that with Imanaga pitching. Like you were like, all right, the Cubs are probably going to win this game. Then you have the lengthy rain delay. I think it was almost 3 hours. And it sucks because Imanaga has to come out of the game. But then the Cubs come back. They score 2 more in the... Or they got 1 more in the second from Seiya. And then in the third, Talkman brought in 1 more. So it was 6-0 at the time of the delay. And then first pitch after the delay, the Cubs tack on another with the fielder's choice out with Dansby Swanson. And then the next inning, Cody Bellinger responds to the chance again and hits a home run. Cubs are up 8-0. And then Otani doubles in bets against, that might have been Palencia. But look, if you're scoring 8 runs against good Dodgers pitching, there's just nothing to be mad about. But I do want to talk about Michael Busch and how he can be the first baseman of the future. And I'm going to compare him to Anthony Rizzo. And yes, this is an extremely lofty comparison. The Cubs got Rizzo when he was quite a bit younger. They traded for Rizzo in 2012. He played 87 games. He was 22 years old. Michael Busch is currently 26. But in that 2012 season, Rizzo had 15 home runs, 48 RBIs in 87 games, hit 285 with the 805 OPS. 2013, a little bit of a decline. Had a OPS of 742, only hit 233. 23 home runs. That 2014, he broke out when he was 24. So 2 years older than Busch is now. So, look, if you can get the production from Michael Busch that you got from Anthony Rizzo, I don't know who Jackson Ferris is. Obviously, I'd be perfectly fine if they got the production from 2012 Anthony Rizzo. 285, 800 OPS. Obviously, that's a really good hitter. The defense is a little shaky, but you look at Busch, the profile is there. I mean, so far, 8 hits, 1 home run, 296 average this year, has an 857 OPS. Those are all in line with how he was hitting in the minors in AAA. And everyone was worried, is Bush going to be another potential Matt Mervis type guy where he's a 4A player, essentially, just rakes in AAA. It doesn't translate over the bigs to the bigs. But I don't think so. I think Michael Bush is going to be a guy who's going to have probably around 20 home runs, hopefully a little more, hopefully closer to 25, hit about 260, 270, and have an OPS around that 800 range. And from the first base production the Cubs have gotten the last 2 years, yes, please. I mean, the last time the Cubs had a solid first baseman was when Frank Schwindel was um went on a Linsanity run after they traded Rizzo, Bryan, and Baez. So we'll see. I don't need him to be top 5 in MVP voting like Rizzo was, but please be like a top 10 first baseman offensively. I mean, that would be so huge to this team, and we're seeing it. I'd say he probably is right now. We're definitely seeing how impactful Michael Bush can be. And he's also working at bats. He takes his walks, works at bats. He's a extremely valuable piece to this Cubs offense. But what do we got here? We have upcoming road trip. Cubs go on a West Coast circus trip. They start against the Padres in San Diego tonight in about an hour and a half. You got 3 against the Padres, 3 against the Mariners, and then 3 against the Diamondbacks. So that's 9 games. Come out of this 5-4. I'm not looking for a lot. 5-4. I think the problem with the Padres series is you're lined up Darvish, Cease, and Musgrove. So you get their 3 best pitchers, which kind of sucks. The Mariners obviously have good pitching, but I've said it before. It's a race to 4 runs against the Mariners. The offense is not that good. Then you get the struggling Diamondbacks. If there's any ChiTownPod listeners in the Phoenix area, I will be at the Tuesday, April 16th game. I don't know where, but if you see me, say hi. Look, they overachieved in the Dodgers series, so I'm gonna allow them to underachieve in the Padres series. You can take 1, and I won't be happy, but I'll be understandable. I think the Mariners series, you probably got to take 2, and I think you should take 2 from the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks offense is really good, but their pitching surprisingly has not been that good. Their bullpen has been atrocious. Now it'd be great if they just took 2 from everybody and finished the road trip 6-3. I'm not expecting that. But if you finish 5-4, that leaves you at 11-7, I believe. Cubs record is currently 6-3. That'll leave you at 11-7, coming into a little soft spot in the schedule, because then you get 4 against the Marlins, 3 against the Astros. That's a good team. Then 3 against the Red Sox, 4 against the Mets, and then 4 against the Brewers. If you're telling me in the middle of April, the Cubs were 11-7 based on the first 20 or so games they played, I would be like, that's perfect. 5-4 is what I'm looking for this road trip. Then you can worry about the homestand. The 7-game homestand should probably go 5-2. Just put yourself in a really good spot, because everyone's always infatuated with for trading for players and trading for superstars. The Cubs are going to have their own mini deadline when Steele comes back and Tyone comes back. You're getting 2 really important arms, and I think that's being a little overlooked right now. Just because pitching is what wins baseball games in the playoffs. And the Cubs have a lot of it on the way. And they already have Ben Brown that's on the team right now. You have Steele, you have Tyone. It's pitching. What else do we have? A preview game 1. I already gave you the lineup against the Padres and Yu Darvish. Javier sat on the mound. I'm not super confident in this game. I feel like if they're going to get one this series, it'll be off Musgrove. Just because Darvish kind of owns the Cubs. After they traded him away, which still sucks. But there's no Owen Casey if Yu Darvish is still a Cub. There's a big problem around the league, pitching injuries. I'm not saying bring back Spider Tack, but it's becoming more and more evident that either the pitch clock being 18 seconds now is leading to injuries, or pitchers are just not having a grip on their ball and grip on the ball. And remember a couple years ago when Glasnow got hurt, he was still on the race and he was like, I just use rosin and sunscreen. He said he didn't use Spider Tack, and he's like, I didn't use it for one game, and he put so much more stress on his arm throwing just a fastball and curveball. So not even like sliders or splitters, something that really is not the best for your arm. And he was still getting hurt. He still felt soreness in spots he didn't feel soreness. It's a tough spot for the MLB. That I think they should allow certain substances. And I'm not saying Spider Tack, but like sunscreen and rosin should be fine. It sucks seeing all these pitchers get injured. But let's wrap it up here. We're going to talk about the atrocious MLB power rankings that they put out. I want to bring up the standings to see how bad that these were. All right. Number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 2, the Braves. Then you have the Yankees, Rangers, Orioles, Phillies, Tigers, Astros. The Cubs are at 9, and then Cleveland is at 10. The Cubs have a 6-3 record. The Braves have a 6-2 record. They just beat the Dodgers in a series. The Dodgers have an 8-4 record. The Astros somehow are at 8. And the Astros are 3-7. What? That makes zero sense to me. New York, I think, should probably be 1. They're at 8-2. And then Baltimore's at 5-4. So, look, power rankings are dumb. But when they're this bad, you kind of got to talk about it. Just that is brutal for sure. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. Tom will be back on Wednesday. Thank you for listening. This one's for Tom. There it is. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good one.